Okay, so we're here and we are talking about the rhetoric that's happening right now. That's really important to shift and change. And we said this over a year ago. We said this over 2 years ago. We said this during the pandemic. And we're still coming out of the pandemic. I get that, but seriously, wake up here. Okay? This is a time for you to actually understand the way people have viewed, like all the people on the globe, the majority of the people on the globe have viewed the world this way since the pandemic. And if all of you leaders are not woken up to it, and I don't mean like the woke movement, this is a totally different meaning of woke, which I've also spoken of in the past. If you don't know the people enough to know that this is the truth that they're speaking, then you have a serious problem. And if the journalists don't know this, they have a serious problem. There is no more East and West. It is not about East and West, North and South. Let me explain. When I was a little girl, I had a globe next to my bed. Literally. My sister and I shared a room. She was on one side of the room. There's a piano bench in between us with a beautiful fabric covering and a globe on the bench. And I was on the other side of that bench with my bed. And we would spin the globe and we would dream about where we were going to go and what we were going to do and about the countries that were on that globe. Not once during any of those conversations, not one conversation, did we ever talk about north, south, east, or west. Not once. Not once. We talked about the equator and how warm it was next to the equator, but we did not talk about north, south, east, and west. If we landed on North America in a place in North America, we labeled what the place was. If we landed on South America and were in some part of South America, we labeled what the place was. Europe, Africa, Asia, China, Russia, Venezuela, Australia, Antarctica, Arctica, all of it, all of it. We labeled it by its name. We did not label it by north, south, east, and west. There is no north, south, east, and west anymore, because no matter where anybody is on the globe, literally the globe, we had a round globe. Okay, the land was not fucking flat. I'm sorry, but I'm so sick of this. Like, this whole thing about like north, south, east, west. You got to stop. There is no north, south, east, west, Western countries, Eastern countries. There isn't one. You're on a globe. It's circular. Circle, circle, like this. Hello? When it's like this, there is no north, south, east, and west. It rotates on an axis. What part of this are you not getting? I got it when I was 10 years old. Come on. Seriously. There is no what the Eastern part is doing versus the Western. There is no Eastern countries versus Western countries. It is a figment of your imagination and something you made up to create divides between people and countries and generations, literally generations of understanding, generations of peace, generations of kindness, generosity, and all abundance. Stop. Just stop it. The globe is a unified existence in space. The earth is this. It's not fragmented from any view in space. It's not fragmented in north, south, east, and west. And on an actual globe, it's not about north, south, east, and west. There are different countries, there are different locations, there are different cities, there are different lines of longitude and latitude and the numbers correlating to that has nothing to do with east, west, north, or south. Do you know how many times a day I hear east and west and how many times I never hear north and south? Really? Really? At least if you're going to label east and west, label north and south. You haven't even been able to do that. All you see is east and west. Do you know how messed up that is? Do you? Because I don't think you do. That's why I'm doing this live right now, and I'm so annoyed. It is not about north, south, east, or west. It isn't about that. If you think the globe is about that, you are so messed up, you need to go to counseling 100,000 times a day. It is about love. This exists because no one's blown it up yet. The globe exists because no one has blown it up yet. It doesn't matter if you're north, south, east, or west. It barely even matters what country you are from. It matters, but it doesn't. What matters more is that you actually respect other people, that you care about other people, that you care about humanity, that you care about the good, that you actually are for the good. I don't care if you're a world leader. I don't care if you're a journalist. I don't care if you're a religious leader. I don't care if you are president of such and such and so and so. I don't care. I don't care if you're just a person on the planet right now. North, south, east, and west, irrelevant. Utterly irrelevant right now. And has been for a long time. And has been at least for the whole globe irrelevant since the pandemic. What matters is that you give. What matters is that you care. What matters is that you step into the grace of what that looks like. What matters is that you actually care about other people and their humanity. It doesn't matter what country you are from. It doesn't matter what location on the globe, you know, and I'm using old reference of the globe, the flat version that all of you clearly have yet to reach past outside of your mindset. There is no east or west in any country. In every country, pull out a compass. Pull out a compass. No matter what country you are in, north, south, east, and west is going to change. It changes. Your west is different than my west. Your east is different than my east. Your north is different than my north. And your south is different than my south. Go to Antarctica and figure it out. It's going to be very clear to you. If you're standing on the top of the globe, where's your north? Where's your south? Where's your east? Where's your west? If you're standing in Antarctica, where's your north? Where's your south? Where's your east? Where's your west? If you're standing in the middle of the United States, where is it? If you're standing in the middle of Europe, where is it? What does it look like? If you're standing in the middle of Russia, where is it? What does it look like? If you're standing in the middle of Sierra Leone, where is it and what does it look like? If you're standing in the middle of Austria or Australia, where is it and what does it look like? If you're standing on an iceberg at the South Pole, depending on what side of the South Pole you are on, where's your east or west? At the North Pole, depending on what side of the North Pole you are on, literally on the top of a globe, where is your north, south, east, or west? Where is your east or west? Stop using the terms east and west. There's no division between east and west. There are countries that have certain things that they do. There is no east or west. There is no east Germany or West Germany anymore. Ta-da! Wake up. How many cups of coffee do you actually need to admit this truth? There is no East or West anymore. There are countries. That's it. Countries. Get that in your mind, get that in your heart space, and then maybe things will actually start to change for the better. Because all of us who are citizens of all the countries who actually know each other and support all of each other in the other countries, we already know this. We already believe this. We already don't see this divide that you kind of constantly try to create for us and make up for us to create a problem or to divide us. We don't see it and we don't believe in it. Truth. You think in the church, we're sitting here saying east, west, north, and south, blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. No, we're not. You know what we're doing? We're worshiping. If you're sitting there judging every single person and wherever they came from or wherever they're been, where they've been, you're not actually worshiping Christ, right? You're not actually worshiping. You're too busy in your mind thinking about everybody else. That's not worshiping God. That's thinking about everybody else. That's being distracted. Stop. Because we as an organization, which I've said so many times, we're done with this. We're done with this part. We don't believe in this rhetoric and we refuse to admit to this rhetoric anymore. We have refused since before the pandemic and we still refuse now. During the pandemic, we refused. We're still refusing now as countries are still recovering from the pandemic, and we will refuse it even after. Try it. Try to put yourself in Antarctica on both sides of the South Pole and see what comes up for you. Where is East and West? If you have ever thought that myself or my sister has labeled things as East or West in that regard, we've labeled countries, we've labeled locations. The only time I have ever labeled Northeast is when I've been here in the United States in New York, referring to the northeast of this particular country. That's it. That's it. So stop. You want to refer to the northeast of Russia? Go for it. You want to refer to the northeast or northwest of China? Go for it. There is no east and west divide between countries anymore. Countries are just that, countries. And even the Berlin Wall fell. FYI. So stop. Stop. We are here for you, but we are not going to enable you to epically fail because you keep giving into the rhetoric of East and West. Seriously. We even refuse it literally for the symphony we know that keeps saying West this and West that. The symphony is in a state. Wake up. Wake up. If you are so that individualized, and that's so egocentric, you have to let go. There's no way. Seriously, there's no way. It is not about whether you are East or West. It is about whether you are a country that gives a shit, that cares, that loves, that actually supports people globally in a positive and healthy and good way. That is what matters. If you think it's about a location in your space, you've epically failed yourself and all of your people. Epically. Seriously and epically. When I spun that globe around, before I went to bed, I would spin that globe around and I would let it spin and let it spin. And I would wait and place my finger where I wanted to be or dream about. And it would land on a country. It didn't land on east, west, north, or south. Not ever. Not ever. And I would sit there and I would wonder what it's like in that country. And never in my wondering or never in my learning about that country was it ever about north, south, east, or west. Step into the grace of that and let go of your own animosity towards each other and your own hatred and your own bias and your own discrimination. Because it's simply not there. It wasn't there for me when I was a child. It wasn't there for me only in the context of my own country, literally my own country growing up, because my mother moved to the south of this country and my father was in the north. And I knew how I felt in both locations. And that had nothing to do with East or West. Nothing. And only later did it turn to Northeast because I knew the place in my own country that I felt I fit into. It had nothing to do with globe, had nothing to do with other countries, had everything to do with what the United States stated was northeastern part of this country. And even that, it's moot. It is, where do you feel at home? What place do you feel at home at? What country? What city? What state? What nation? It's not about north, south, east, or west. That is such a flat piece of paper. You got to get over it. We're not there anymore. We are so way past that. And during the pandemic, it totally changed. That didn't even come up anymore. And now you want to bring it back up to create division and divide? No. The answer is no. The answer is no. Throughout the pandemic, every single country pitched in and helped every other single country in some way, in some form, with something. It was not about north, south, east, and west. So get over it and stop bringing north, south, east, and west labels back up to try to create a problem that isn't even there, that isn't even real. No one during the pandemic defined anything during the pandemic as north, south, east, or west. No one. They defined it as countries. Who has what and who doesn't? And what can we do to help? And that should be your same mindset now. Grow and grow up. Grow and grow up. The old mindset does not work for you, and it does not work for the globe, and it does not work for all the people on the face of the planet. Grow and grow up. And own that truth. You want to keep bringing up East versus West? You're going to epically fail. I promise you that. Because none of us, and I'm like the older of the younger generation, none of us see that anymore. All we see are countries being selfish. All we see are countries who care. All we see are, do countries actually care about their people, and what countries do and what countries don't. And it has nothing to do with being north, south, east, or west. It has everything to do with your mind and your heart space. And the younger generation also knows that. So keep trying to push your own agenda on north, south, east, and west, and it is going to epically fail. And so will you. So will you. We have been very clear on this many times. Stop trying to create drama where there is no drama. Stop trying to create divide in younger generations where there is no divide. Stop trying to create issues where there are no issues besides what we see in each individual country or location. Because we're done with the north, south, east, and west agenda. Labels. United Nations means united. It means no matter where you stand, you're with every single person, united. And you care about every person and every nation. United Nations. It does not matter whether you are north, south, east, or west. Those are old constructs that don't even exist anymore, that you keep trying to put on the table to create division and divides. And we're done with it. We are over it. Younger generations, and I, again, am one of the older, younger generations, done. Done. Thankfully, the United Nations itself doesn't use that terminology. But countries do. And it needs to stop. I'll leave you with that. Ciao and arrivederci.